All right, well, if you haven't heard by now, narcissists are typically liars. So when you think of a narcissist, you think of someone who doesn't want to actually tell the truth. There's multiple different ways we can look at a narcissist and multiple different ways we can look at a toxic person. We can go through the entire DSM-5 and diagnose and walk through the 9 diagnostic traits. But at the end of the day, the person that you're involved with, it doesn't really matter all of the abuse that they're doing if they're still showing up as a liar. So he could be having an abusive relationship with you. He could be doing something that is quote unquote not abusive in the physical sense or in the emotional sense, but still showing up in a way that's hurting you. At the end of the day, what comes down to a healthy relationship is one that's built on trust, one that's built on honor, respect to one another. And if that's not a part of the relationship, then what do you actually have? The majority of times when we're talking about a narcissist or a toxic person, we're talking about someone who is also a liar. We look at narcissism, we see manipulation, we see gaslighting, we see different versions of how to exploit other people. All of these things are different aspects inside of narcissistic personality disorder. But at the end of the day, it comes down to a piece of simply lying. Now, the first person that the narcissist lies to is not just you, not just other people, but is simply himself. Like his willingness to not be honest with himself blocks any type of growth, any type of transformation that you would ever hope would be possible. So some of you think maybe I can get him to be aware. Maybe I can have him understand that he's a narcissist. Maybe I can make it sink in. But the problem is if he's not willing to be honest, nothing will change. There's no type of transformation that can happen in a person's life unless there is truth. Here's where it gets interesting. Truth is oftentimes based on someone's perception or perspective. Now, what I mean by that is he already has his own truth, his own version of reality, his own version of the story. I have my own truth. You have your own truth. Everybody has their own truth. And it's mixed with their perspective and their perception that oftentimes leaves them confused or lost or frustrated and gives different people's perspectives different truth. So we focus here not on the truth. Not on the piece of saying, what is your truth? We focus on what is simply just the facts of the situation. The facts, did he actually say something that was honest or not? Did he do this or did he not? Did he lie or did he not? Did he cheat? Did he not? We deal with just simply facts because the facts are the only thing on this human level of the world we can actually focus on to be able to get to a conclusion. Now, the reason why I say this about truth and about facts and kind of separate it just a little bit is because if we're not careful, it's easy to start proclaiming that your truth is reality. But the problem is, majority of the times, your truth isn't grounded in reality. It's grounded into feelings. It's grounded into stories. It's grounded in someone else's lies. It's not grounded in actual truth. When we're looking at this piece of can a narcissist change, we're looking for not just change, we're looking for transformation. Can transformation actually happen? No transformation and growth in this area is possible unless there is truth. You're like, wait a second, I thought you just said about our truth. Exactly. Transformation can't happen without truth, and ultimate truth comes from God. So at the end of the day, if that person is not willing to be honest to himself, nothing is going to transform ever at all. So inside of this conversation, we're talking about narcissists and lying, right? This happens. This is a typical piece inside of a narcissist is just him lying to you, lying to others, lying to anybody and everybody. I was on this same path. I was on the same journey of constantly lying and not being willing to be honest about anything. This could be the big lies, right? Of, hey, I'm having an affair or I'm cheating on you. I'm doing these things. This could be down to little lies. What I ate for lunch, what I did the other day, like small things that don't seem to have the biggest implications or the ramifications that are going on. And inside this place of lying, it becomes a habit. It becomes this cycle, becomes this automatic like knee-jerk reaction where someone asks a question and the immediate thing that comes out is simply a lie. Some people ask, is this intentional? Is it not intentional? Is it just a habit? Is he just a habitual liar? What is going on? And in reality, it doesn't always start off as a habit, but it gets built into a habit. Because it's something that is going on over and over and over in the toxic person's life. They get used to it. They're used to lying so quickly, so easily, so it just becomes normal. And as a result, they start lying about anything and everything. This is what my life looked like. I got to the place where I started lying to be able to protect myself so that I could do what I wanted to do, to protect myself from quote unquote harm, right? For that harm being the accountability, the exposure, the pieces that I didn't want other people to see. How do I do what I want to do and still get away with it? Because that doesn't look right. That doesn't fit into the mode or the modality. That doesn't fit into the religion that I was a part of. All of these different things prompted a lot of lies. So in going through the journey of understanding that I had lies, that was the first battle. Because I didn't admit that I had lies. I didn't want to tell anyone I had lies. I didn't want to believe that I had lies. I thought I was a truthful person. All the time, I was still lying. See, it didn't make sense, but logically, I was thinking, well, if I can justify this, then it's okay. Well, if you can't get the guy in your life to be honest and acknowledge that there is lies, there's not a whole lot of hope of being able to fix the lies. Like, there has to be an awareness piece. There has to be a willingness to actually admit, you know what? I do lie. That was a lie. That is something I've been working on. That is like, I keep seeing this in my life. Like, I keep lying. If he's not willing to acknowledge the lies, forget trying to talk to him about narcissism. Like, that's a pipe dream. You're trying to get him to believe something when he won't even believe basic common principles of you're not telling the truth. And the biggest person he's not telling the truth with is himself. I had someone the other day that came into Raw Motivations and started working with me. And one of the things that happened is he simply just looked up how to stop lying. And for a narcissist, this is extremely, extremely hard because it's ingrained. It's something that's like internal that just wants to happen. And everybody lies to themselves. No, this is something that you might not want to hear, but everybody lies to themselves. We might phrase it in a nicer way because you're believing a story, and that story that you're believing is that he does care even though he's been cheating on you, or that he does care even though he's been abusing you. But that story, if we look at it factually, is a lie. We just call it a story because it sounds a little bit nicer. But at the end of the day, you end up lying to yourself as well. Now, for a narcissist, lying, that habitual lying and the piece that keeps coming up, how do you actually break that? Well, the first piece I had to acknowledge was I had to actually see and acknowledge that I had lies. Didn't mean I had to stop in that moment. I just had to acknowledge these are happening. These are part of my life, and I have to actually admit it. Now, that brought a lot of shame and a lot of guilt that I had to work on processing, because if I didn't, then I would just continue going back to the lies. Then I had to get to a place where I'd actually come back and circle back with the lies. I literally had to script some of this out inside of some of my healing journey. Getting to a place of like, okay, week 1, we're just going to acknowledge, do we have lies? Yes, we do. Got it. Week 2, then we're going to actually circle back. So by the end of the week, we're going to try to make sure any of the lies we had over the past week, go back and be able to explain it. Okay, hey, I actually lied in this area. Then week 3, be like, okay, I acknowledged it. I went back. Now I want to shorten the time frame. So I want to try to be able to go through and apologize, confess, go back and review each and every day. So within 24 hours, I'm actually confessing the lies. Then got it closer and closer and closer. Then the goal was to start catching the lie as it's coming out. Be like, wait a second, that's actually not true. Pause. I just told a lie. Using this system and using this process, started shortening the gap. Once I started shortening the gap, I started realizing the shame didn't last as long. The guilt didn't last as long because I was dealing with it right there in the moment. And getting to the place of dealing with it where I didn't lie to start off with. Then I didn't even have the shame and the guilt. And oftentimes people are like, well, why would a narcissist have like the shame and the guilt and then keep doing the things that gives them more shame and more guilt? It's simply because they're not looking ahead. I would never look ahead at anything else. Everything was in the moment. What I want in the moment. What do I need to do? Oh, I need to lie so I can get out of this in the moment. Oh, that caused an issue, so I need to lie to get out of that moment. So it was just a constant in the moment thing. Majority of narcissists don't even look far ahead to see if I lie here, what ramifications are going to happen down the road. They don't think that way. They don't look ahead. It's just like knee-jerk reaction. Let me lie to get away from this. Now, you're going to have others, sociopaths, psychopaths, that are going to lie way more intentionally, way more purposely for an end result or for a manipulation piece too. So I'm not grouping all of those in here. I'm just saying when we're talking about the lie piece, it's very often that it's very just knee-jerk reaction to try to avoid accountability, responsibility in the moment. Hopefully this is making sense. The piece that I kind of slipped in the middle there that I want you to see and to understand is that everybody lies. Everybody has a story that they're telling themselves that's not always based on facts. Oftentimes it's based on fiction, on fantasy, on your feelings. And as a result, it starts to sell you a different version of reality that's not true. You get stuck in this limbo mode with the toxic guy, wondering, do I stay? Do I go? Do I believe his words? Do I believe his actions? Does he actually love me? Does he not? And this, you go back and forth and you say stuck. When you get to a place where you're confused and you're stuck, you start to disintegrate as a person. Like who you are on the inside starts to disappear because you're no longer able to show up authentic to you. There's so many lies and stories that have been impressed upon you that you don't actually get free mentally and emotionally. And this develops the trauma bond. This develops the addiction. This develops the cycle where you keep going back to this toxic guy over and over and over and over again. And until we actually rewire, break these, until we actually help you break through the stories that you're telling yourself, nothing changes. You keep going back. You keep letting him in. It keeps being this back and forth piece that doesn't actually give you the freedom that you want and that you deserve. If I can help you move forward inside the healing process, I want you to go to rawmotivations.com today. There's a couple opportunities for you to be able to watch some videos of what I do there to help liberate your mindset, your thought process, and even you physically from the narcissist, from the toxic guy that's in your life. If I can help you with that, go to rawmotivations.com, see about watching that video, book a call. Let's talk to help you move forward from being trapped inside of this relationship to actually finding freedom for you.